Water is vital to the health and welfare of your chickens, so having a good watering program is essential, especially in this Texas heat, to make sure that your chickens don't go dry. That's what we're talking about today on Chicken Shorts. So there's quite a few ways of keeping your chickens hydrated. The most basic being a simple bowl, pet bowl, any kind of water reservoir. These are simple and easily available, but they're generally not the best option because you can get all kinds of dirt and stuff thrown in there by the chickens. Small birds, like young chicks, they can actually fall in and drown, and there just really isn't all that much water in there. It can evaporate, and there's nothing that will replenish it. So the next type of water that you're likely to see in a chicken coop is going to be one of these Belle Style waters. They come in all shapes and sizes. You can get the really big ones like back there. You can get these gallon-size plastic ones, and the smaller ones, these are usually reserved for chicks. It's really easy to put in a brooder. It doesn't hold as much water, but for small chicks, they don't go through nearly as much water as adult birds, so you can get away with these smaller ones. Then kind of step it on up, depending on how many chickens you have. There's a big variety in the plastic ones. This one can be hung up, this has to be set on the ground, and this big one back there has to be set on the ground as well. It's too heavy for it to hang. But what I like about this kind is that they open up fairly easily, give you easy access inside so you can clean it out. Thank you for the input, Rooster. Now, if you don't want to go plastic, you don't have to go plastic. You can get something a little bit more durable, like this. These are the galvanized water cans. You see a lot of these. You can get them in pretty much any feed store. They'll last a very long time. You can hang them up. Some come with hangers already installed. Others just have a handle like this one. And I just put on a few little bolts right up here to sort of hold it in place so I can hang it off of a chain fairly easily. Now, if you have a lot of chickens or simply don't want to bother with filling up waterers all the time, you can get some sort of automatic watering system. Either it uses gravity feed from a large bucket, or rainwater collection system, or low pressure water system. There's plenty of different options out there for automatic filling waterers. The most basic one that you see in the poultry industry and in a lot of coops is this. It is called a nipple drinker. It is a fairly simple design. You can see it is made, you drill a little hole in the bottom of something or in a pipe, shove this grommet up inside there, and it hangs down underneath. The pressure or the gravity will feed water down into it, and as the chicken pecks this little nipple, it dispenses a little bit of water out. This works if you have chickens that are all the same size. It works really well for that. But if you have different sizes of chickens, you have to set it so the smallest chicken can reach it. But then if you have a really tall chicken, it has to bend over, and the water will splash out the side of its beak as it's trying to drink, and you'll get a lot of water wastage and water on the ground. Now, a step up from that is this. These are nipple drinkers as well, but they're made to go horizontal. They can go into a pipe or a bucket, and they sit like so. The chicken pecks from the side, and the water is dispensed onto this little tray. Good for different sizes of chickens, but you also get water wastage with this as well. The chickens peck, the water comes out. They can only drink so much, they can't put their lips together and suck it up, so if it doesn't all drip into the chicken's mouth, it will go off the side and you'll get a little bit more water on the ground. But it's a bit more efficient than the original nipple drinker design if you have different sizes of chickens. What I do like about these is that they have a taper on their threads. So if you get a hole that's you're not sure the right size, you can just screw it in until it's nice and tight. It'll snug itself up. And you can put some plumber's tape or thread sealant, or even just a little bit of silicone on there to seal it all up if you're worried about leakage, but usually it'll self-seal as you screw it in. Now, the final system I want to talk about, and the one that I currently use, is called the BeakCup system. This is a nice little design, and it's a little cup. It has a one-way valve in there, similar to the nipple drinkers, It's a pressure-fed system, so you're not going to be cleaning out a big reservoir. It's a one-way valve. Water goes out, nothing goes back in. So whatever your water source back here is, your reservoir, meaning a pipe, pressurized pipe, or a gravity-fed bucket, will not be contaminated from whatever is coming out of the chicken. That's the downside to some of the other types of waters, the big bell-fed water, as I showed earlier, is that the water can go both ways. It can go back into the reservoir, so you have to clean everything out. With these, you only have to clean the little cup. The chicken doesn't have to be taught to press the lever. If there's a little water down there, it'll try and get it, and as it bumps the lever around, it dispenses more water for the chicken to drink. Very straightforward. Now there are a few different kinds here. I've just gotten a few of these to test. The original ones that I got were from a company called BeakCup. They work really well. That's what I have here. But these, that look very similar, I ordered for like $1 from China. If you look at the threads here, this is the BeakCup one, and you can see the threads are tapered, just like on the horizontal nipple drinker I showed you earlier. The one I got from China is not tapered, it's just straight threads. It does have a little washer down here, so it should seal it up, but since the threads aren't tapered, they won't seal as easily or as well as these tapered threads are, so you have to be really careful when you're drilling your hole that you get it just the right size so it'll screw in, while with these you have a little bit more room for error. Either way, if you have leakage on either of these systems, just put a little bit of caulk or silicone around there, screw it in a little tighter, let it dry, and that should be enough to make sure there's no water leaking out. Now the somewhat more problematic issue between the sort of, I guess, knockoff version of the BeakCup versus the official one is that the official one will fill up with water a lot faster. So I'm going to depress the levers here so you can see how it works. But there's water coming out of both of them. But the official one is filling up much faster than the other one. It has a higher flow valve. So you can see that's full already. This one's still filling, still filling, still filling. Now it's finally full. So not a massive difference, but if you're relying on random chance of the chicken pecking on the lever to fill the cup up, you want it to fill up fairly quickly. So I'm still going to recommend these, but if you happen to pick one of these up, it'll still work, just maybe not quite as efficiently. Now you can see these are drilled into the side of a bucket. It's really easy, you just fill the bucket up, and the pressure from the water will dispense the water into the BeakCups. You don't need to do this, you can also do it in a PVC pipe. You can see here I've got the little nipple drinker in there, but the BeakCup as well will screw right into one of these little thread adapters here. So you can make a nice line of them up on a PVC pipe, put some low pressure system in there, have it hooked up to your rainwater collection system, and it'll all feed out into there. Just with this one, be very careful in the wintertime, because if you don't drain the pipe out and it gets below freezing, crack goes the pipe, and your chickens are out of water for a while until you can repair that. With these, if you have it threaded directly into the bucket, you can put a heater in there that'll automatically turn on when it gets close to freezing. It'll keep the water warm enough, and since these are connected directly to the main reservoir, they won't freeze up either. You won't have as much of an issue with that as you will if you feed it into a PVC pipe. Just something to keep in mind while you're building your chicken watering system.